Hi, it's story time. Today's story is the story of Ganesha and Kubera. Ganesha is the elephant-headed boy with the big belly. He's the son of Shiva and Parvati, and Kubera is the god of wealth. Kubera is so super wealthy. He's got all the money anyone could ever want. He's got fine palaces and jewelry and rubies and diamonds and gold and everything. He's even got this incredible vehicle that's his prized possession. It's called the Pushpaka. And the Pushpaka is almost like a massive city that flies in the air. He could hold dinner parties on his Pushpaka. The Pushpaka was so excessive that they say it took the wood from an entire forest just to run it for one single minute. So he's got everything and a Pushpaka, but the one thing that Kubera doesn't have that he wants is the love of one particular woman, and that woman is Parvati. Parvati is the mother of Ganesh and the wife of Shiva. And Parvati has no interest in Kubera and his money. Even though he shows off in front of her, he's always flashing his fancy things in front of her, having big parties, inviting everyone, trying desperately to win Parvati's love, but she only loves her Shiva. She has no interest in Kubera. She thinks he's just ridiculous. And so one day, Shiva and Parvati have just finished making love, and they're lying in their bedroom in each other's arms, and they hear the sound of the Pushpaka. It's coming their way, and Parvati rolls her eyes and says, "Oh no, it's that annoying Kubera again. He's come to hassle me and try to win me. What do we do?" And Shiva gets a mischievous gleam in his eyes, and he says, "I have an idea." And he yells out, "Ganesha, someone's gonna knock on the door in a moment. Why don't you open it?" So when Kubera knocks on the door, thinking he's going to invite Parvati to a party, Parvati doesn't open the door. Her son does, Ganesh, and he's a little disappointed. But then he hears Parvati in the background say, "Ganesha, why don't you go with the man? He wants to invite you to a party." And Kubera says, yes, I came to invite you to a fine party, and we're going to serve the best food. Why don't you come and be my guest? He's disappointed that it wasn't Parvati, but he thinks, what's the best way to a mother's heart? Maybe it's through her child. Maybe if I show Ganesha how rich I am, he'll go back and tell his mom, and then she'll want to come see for herself. So Ganesh goes with Kubera. They get on the Pushpaka, and they ride back to Kubera's palace, where there's a huge feast prepared. Tons of food of every kind, and Ganesh starts eating. They put plate after plate in front of him, and Ganesh eats everything. He's eating faster and faster. It's like the more he eats, the hungrier he gets, until he starts eating not just the food, but the plates. He's just tossing plates and food and everything into his mouth, and Kubera's going, "Oh no, those are my precious plates." And he yells to the servants, "Go find all the food that you can find in the entire village." So they all run out, and they collect all the food in the village and feed it to Ganesh. And Ganesh is eating, and he's still starving no matter how much he pours into his mouth. So now Ganesh, he's gone beyond just eating the food. There's no more food left. He's eating the plates, and then he picks up a chair, and he starts eating the chair, and he's eating the furniture, and he's eating the pictures, and he's eating everything in the whole room. And now Kubera is totally freaking out. All of his fine stuff, all of his golden plates, all of his fine furniture, right into the gullet of Ganesh. And he thinks, what do I do now? And he has an idea. He says, maybe if I show Ganesha where I keep all my money, he'll be so stunned by my wealth that he'll stop eating, and he'll just gaze upon my jewels and my money. And so he takes Ganesha into his vault. It's kind of like, I always imagine the Scrooge McDuck that had that big vault of money and would jump into it. It's kind of like that. And he takes Ganesha there, and he says, "Look at this. Look at all this gold. Look at all this money." And Ganesha's eyes get really big, and then Ganesha opens his mouth, and he just starts shoveling every last bit of precious gold, diamonds, rubies, money, everything right into his mouth. And now Kubera is terrified because he thinks he's gonna eat me next. So Kubera runs. Ganesh chases after him with his mouth wide open. Runs. He jumps on his Pushpaka. Ganesha almost catches him. He takes his trunk and he wraps it around one wheel of the Pushpaka as it climbs up into the air. And Kubera goes all the way back to Shiva and Parvati's house, lands in the front lawn, runs to the door, bangs on it, "Let me in, your son is gonna eat me." Parvati opens the door with a little chuckle, and she says, "Come on in, he's not gonna eat you." Kubera runs in and tries to hide behind Parvati, and he explains what happened. He said, "I fed him and he kept eating. He ate me out of house and home, then he ate my house and home." And Parvati just laughs and she says, watch this. She said, I just made a little bit of cracked rice porridge. It's in the kitchen. Why don't you go get some? Just a spoonful or two will do. And then you're going to feed it to Ganesh. And Ganesh waddles in with his big belly, sees his mom and smiles. Kubera comes back with the bowl full of just the simplest porridge, just the end bits of the cracked rice porridge. And Parvati says, now take a little bit on a spoonful and feed it to him. And he goes to do it. And Parvati says, no, stop. Stop just 1 second. Pause before you do it. And do it with some love in your heart. And so Kubera feeds the little boy just a touch of rice porridge. And Ganesh eats it. Kubera's hand is shaking. Ganesh smiles. He swallows it. He's so happy. And then he goes over to his mother, curls his trunk around her, and falls asleep on her lap. And Parvati and Shiva laugh. They say, see, Kubera? Just a little bit, the simplest little bit, offered with love and devotion, is all it takes to satisfy. All the riches in the world can't satisfy like a little bit of love.